Welcome to the Fifth Wheel Podcast.
Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop. I'm Hannah.
I'm Sydney.
And we just like to talk about F1.
We do. We both love F1. We love to yap. Why not do both at the same time?
Why not record it and put it on the internet?
So that it's documented forever.
So that we leave a very large digital footprint.
There is no disappearing into the wind for us.
No, there's not. There's not.
We have quite the digital trail.
We do have quite the digital trail. But
and if you found us, welcome.
You either know us or I'm sorry.
You're going to have a great time, though. You might be a little scared, but you're going to have a great time.
It's so great. And with that actually leads us into today's episode is F1 for beginners. So you're going to have a great time. Please don't question it.
Yeah. But no, we thought doing kind of just an intro, because we have a lot of my friends, a lot of your friends, relatives don't really know about F1. Yeah. F1's grown a whole lot in the US in recent years. And so a lot of people have, I mean, you and I both have gotten into it within the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And so when we started this podcast, a lot of our friends were like, I'm going to listen. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to listen. And so Hannah had a really good idea about doing kind of an F1 for beginners podcast episode. And it's the off season right now. We're in between Formula One seasons. So
which means we're depressed.
Yes.
But yeah, I actually made this PowerPoint for the Vegas Grand Prix. I had a few people over to watch it, and no one that was there, because Sydney couldn't make it. No one that was
I was
there,
out of town.
Well, no one that was there knew anything about F1. So I was like, I need to make like a very brief PowerPoint that just kind of explains it at a high level so that everyone knows what they're getting into and they're not just watching cars drive around, right? So
you did that.
I did.
With a little bit of a girly pop twist.
It's a girly pop twist, right? So, and that's what y'all are going to see today. We've modified it.
Because a lot has happened since you made that.
So much has happened since we made that. We had to add 6 new people to it and remove, what would that be, 6 others?
Well, because some of them kind of shuffled, but you removed at least 3 or 4.
But technically, if we're adding 6 people and there's only 20 drivers, we would have to remove 6 people as well, right?
Well, except Liam. He was kind of already there, but like sort of.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
It's complicated.
It's complicated, but it's
not. We're going to break it down.
It's complicated, but it's not. We're going to make it easy to understand, because it's one of those things that I'm like, if some of my friends, if they just sat with me for 30 minutes and let me get into it just enough, I know I could get everyone on the hook with it.
Oh yeah.
So
we're gonna snag you. You're gonna dip your toe in. We're gonna drag you down to the bottom with us.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be so much fun.
That sounds like threats.
I think it is a little bit.
It is a little bit of a threat, but it's like a good threat.
You'll be happy about it.
Hey, we're gonna threaten you with a good time.
That was crispy.
That was really crispy. My hands are tingling. All right, and without further ado, let's get into it.
Yep.
All right, so first, if you are watching as opposed to just listening, we have some pictures here of Formula One cars. So something that a lot of people ask me is, how is Formula One different than like NASCAR? First of all, the cars look like that. For those only listening, they look kind of like an IUD in the front, and then they're really slim, tiny cars. They still have 4 wheels. Are you still laughing?
A little bit.
I didn't know.
That was an odd but fun analogy.
I mean, I looked at it and in my head I was like,
quickly
think of how to describe it.
You're right though.
It's an IUD.
Yeah, open wheels. If you've ever seen Cars 2, Francesco, he's an F1 car.
Yeah, there you go. And so another difference between Formula One and NASCAR, first of all, Formula One has incredibly complicated circuits. It's not just going in a circle or an oval. I know, whoa, don't get crazy here with ovals. But we've got lots of twists and turns, very high speed, straights and corners. And also Formula One is way faster. So the average speed of a Formula One car during a race is about 200 miles an hour, which is a lot.
I could be wrong, but I think NASCAR, like on some of their corners.
It's all a corner.
Curves,
it's a circle.
I think they do pick up good speed, but it's like the stop and go, the G's, like I think just in general, and then the different shapes. I guess a whole bunch of silly little shapes. Really fast cars going in silly little shapes.
Yeah, they do.
So much cooler.
Yeah, so because of how fast they are, that is why F1 is considered the pinnacle of motorsport. So, including NASCAR, including IndyCar, all of those other race types, they're below Formula One. If you are wanting like the best of the best in the world and the fastest of the fastest in the world in racing, it is Formula One. So,
it's a good time.
On we go. So,
yeah, now we're gonna go to a little bit of the basics. So right now there are 10 teams on the grid. In 2026, that will change. There will be 11 teams on the grid.
Whoop, whoop.
And then each team has 2 drivers. So there's going to be 20 drivers in total. And that's like, it is, 20 spots. They are on the grid every race unless somebody, has a burst appendix or breaks an arm while they're cycling. There's a whole lot of things that happen. Those are both very real examples. We've had 2 burst appendices?
Appendi?
What's the plural of appendix? Is it like a cactus, cacti?
Appendixes?
Or deer? Appendixes sounds bad.
It does. I think it's I don't want to know. We'll find out later.
Yeah. Anyways, so yeah, there have been 2 burst appendix within the last 2 years that have both like significantly impacted like the domino effect that honestly each appendix has had should probably be studied.
Yes.
But yeah, so these teams and the drivers are racing for a driver's championship and a constructor's championship. The driver's championship is individual. So in the races, drivers are going after points, and whatever position they are, position they land in, you get points.
And it's the Piston Cup, essentially.
Exactly. Honestly, that's the best way you could put it. It's the Piston Cup. They want that trophy. And then constructors championship is going to be both drivers, their combined points.
It's like the team cup, basically.
It's like the women, like the all around medal in gymnastics. Everybody's competing.
Yeah.
And then their points
all combined,
and you get, and basically wherever you place in that, teams are awarded money. So like a team in first place is going to get a butt ton more money than the team in last.
And it's all way more money than you think it should be. All the drivers, like, they have like $20 million contracts for the year.
It's absurd.
It's crazy.
It's actually absurd. And then along with that, so you've got the governing organization, the FIA.
Boo.
We hate the FIA. Yeah. We hate the FIA. Us and as fans and then drivers have just been burned over and over. The FIA is like, we're going to enforce this rule. I don't feel like doing that one today. Yes, we'll do that one. Oh, you're wearing an earring? Banned.
Yeah, genuinely. It's that's a whole, we could have a whole episode on the FIA.
And like just controversial decisions and
corruption, politics.
It's
hypocrisy.
F1 in general is just a super political sport.
It really is.
Like, it's a lot of lobbying for yourself and teams and sponsors and money, and it's wild.
But it can't be real politics, at least with the drivers. But if you're the founder of the FIA, then sure, you can post all the things you want about actual politics.
But you're a driver? You're not allowed to have an opinion.
No, you're not allowed to. No. You're not even allowed to shake someone's hand. Anyways.
Heaven forbid. But anyway, so yeah, teams have a cost cap, the budget, unless you're Red Bull.
Yeah, they can spend however much they want.
Because they did. They broke the cost cap the first year it was implemented.
No consequences.
They basically got a slap on the wrist because it was for catering.
Boo. Anyways, we do like Red Bull, but also
we like parts of Red Bull.
I think that's a way better way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, on to some terminology. So Sydney will touch on the weekend schedule in a little bit, but basically there's three main events, I guess, of a race. There's practice, qualifying, which is where you figure out how you're going to start the race, like in what position, and then the race itself.
Yep.
So pole position means that you are starting the race in first position. That means that you drove the fastest in qualifying. And then podium means you're finishing in the top 3 on the podium. P1, P2, P3, etc. P is position, you understand. So like there's P1 through 20 in a race. But that's kind of just like the simplest terms of that. There's on average, like it depends on how long the track is, but anywhere from like 50 to 80 laps, as long as like right under 2 hours. So then we have something called DRS. DRS is the drag reduction system, and this is one of my favorite things to point out to people who don't know anything about F1 and are watching a race, because you can like show them as it's happening. So basically, it is this little flap in the back of the rear wing of the car, and it, as we put in our notes here, make fast car go faster. So as it says, is drag reduction. So by opening up that little window, wind can go through, allowing the car to go faster, but there's rules for it. So in order to use DRS, you must be within 1 second of the driver in front of you, and you have to be in a DRS zone. So not every place on the track is going to have or going to be available.
Because if you're braking, DRS isn't, you can't go faster as you're braking. On a curve, it doesn't really work. A lot of times you'll see it on the longer straight portions of the track. So there are certain tracks that have, 1 DRS zone or 2 or I think 3 might be, maybe 3 or 4, but nonetheless
2 or 3 is average.
It can, if your car has a good DRS system, you can it's like an extra, however they always say it during the race, it gives you an extra however many kilometers per hour.
Yeah, it actually is really crazy to watch too, because when you watch someone enable DRS and then you watch, like, it's instant how much they go faster. It would be crazy if they like didn't have, like, if they could just leave it open all the time. I'd be really interested to see that, but also that would be crazy. So that's DRS.
Yeah. Okay. So as I mentioned a couple slides ago, you are racing for points, individually and as a team. Wherever you finish, so places 1 through 10 get points. First place gets 25, second place 18, and then it kind of like the breakdown goes down, and then 10th place gets 1 point. But yeah, so you get points for fastest lap. On a normal race, the points you get, for places 1 through 10. And then I think since they've implemented sprint races, you get points for that. So, but it's only for P1 through P8.
Yeah.
So it's the points breakdown of it doesn't really change much.
Yeah. And if you place below 10th or 8th in a sprint, skill issue. No points.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's rough out there.
Yeah. That's why when, like, we say some of the teams only score 5 points in a season, it's because they never get above 10th.
So. A lot of times they'll finish P16, P18 last. Not at all.
Not at all, depending on how the race goes. Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And the point, I mean, they add up.
They do.
They add up pretty quickly.
Next, we have just a little bit of other information. First is tires. So I'm sure most of y'all are familiar with a pit stop in a race. So you have to pit at least 1 time during your race. And during that pit stop, you must change your tire type. Not just the tire themselves, but the type of tire. And there are 5 kinds of tires, but I'm really only going to go over the main 3. There's soft, medium, and hard. And so, like, let's say you start the race on medium tires. You cannot, at your pit stop, change to other mediums. You can only go to soft or hard from there. And the difference in the tires is just really depending on the track that you're on. But soft tires have more grip, but they erode faster. So they will dwindle down quicker. You can't use them for as many laps, whereas the opposite for hard tires. They last a long time, really durable, but they're not as fast. And so based on that, you have tire strategy for a race and pit stop strategy on, like, when are we going to stop and how does this interfere with other people stopping? It gets really convoluted and intricate. But
there are people's whole jobs who are tire strategy.
Yeah.
There's trier to stitish. That was not going to be an English statement.
No.
That was straight gibberish.
Well, I mean, most of them are European, so, and most of that sounds like gibberish. So.
Doesn't it?
It does. I'm sure we sound like gibberish to them. Schedule.
Jacksonville
Jaguars.
That video was so funny.
There's a video of one of the F1 drivers who we'll get to in a moment. They are like, guess the NFL team, because they're from, like, Europe and they don't know NFL. Guess the NFL team by the logo, and one of them goes, Jacksonville Jaguars. So, anyways, back to tires. Which is not nearly as interesting as that. But, okay, yeah. And then any pit stop over 3 seconds is too damn slow. If you are, like, even over 2.5 seconds, I think is like the max that I'm comfortable with for a pit stop. It's crazy to watch. It's so fast. You don't believe it unless you've seen it.
Oh yeah. And what I think is really interesting is like the more I think you watch races, you can tell when it's a slow pit stop. Like there have been times like when we watch it together, we're like, "Ooh, that's slow."
Yeah, we're like,
and then it's really satisfying when the graphic pops up and it was like 3.4 seconds,
and we're like, "I knew it."
Or you're like, "Damn, that was quick." And it was like a 198, you know, or like just some ridiculously fast pit stop. And it's, I mean, those mechanics, like kudos to them. I mean, like it's a whole team of Guidos.
It is. Well, one of the Ferrari tire pit stop mechanics. One of the mechanics in Ferrari has a Guido tattoo.
Except it's red because he works for Ferrari.
Yes, it's really cute.
And he was real popular on TikTok this last season when the internet discovered him. And honestly, rightfully so.
He's a cutie patootie.
Yes.
He's a cute patootie.
He is.
But what else we got? So at least one wheel must stay within the racing lines or within the track. So I put kind of duh here because obviously you want to keep tires on the track. But if you watch F1, you'll notice a lot of the time on like the corners, half of their car will be out of bounds, like off the track. And that's completely normal, actually. Like they're allowed to kind of cut corners-ish. It's like all for the sake of speed, right? But as long as not all four tires leave the track, then they're fine. So that's interesting to see. And then penalties are awarded for dangerous actions and maneuvers. So like if you hit someone and it was your fault, things like that, you'll get a penalty, like a time penalty or something, or a grid penalty, unless you're Max Verstappen, in which case they didn't see anything.
No. And at the FIA's discretion.
It is at the FIA's discretion.
That, you know, we were shitting on the FIA a minute ago.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, it could be, you know, it's like both of these are pictures of a dumpster fire, but only this one that has Esteban Ocon's face is going to get a 5-second time penalty.
Rest in peace, Esteban Ocon.
Honestly.
He is the king of 5-second penalties, even if it was not his fault.
There was one race in, I think it was the 2023 season, where I think he had nearly, like, it had to have been like 30-45 seconds worth of penalty. Like, it was just, and then there was just that meme, the Simpsons meme of, "Stop, he's already dead." And it was just plus 5-second time penalty.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah.
Anyways, on to the schedule.
The weekend schedule?
The weekend schedule.
The weekend schedule.
Why do they say it like that? There's a C in there.
Yeah, weekend schedule. So, okay, on a traditional weekend, so there's either going to be a normal weekend or it's going to be a sprint weekend. There's usually only 5 or 6 out of the entire race calendar that are sprint weekends. On a traditional weekend, Friday, you're going to have FP1 and FP2, which is free practice 1, free practice 2. Basically, the cars go out for an hour. They can do a couple like warm-up laps. They can try different setups. The practice sessions are basically for teams to set up their car, figure out, kind of iron out strategies. Sometimes the practice sessions are really helpful for them. Other times it's like super bright and sunny Friday, Saturday, and then raining cats and dogs on Sunday, and all of their, you know, planned strategy goes to hell. Typically there's not a whole lot of action that I would say happens at practice, but they're there. Saturday, you've got FP3 in the morning, and then in the afternoon, you will have qualifying. And then qualifying, so you have Q1, Q2, and Q3. And at each point, 5 drivers get knocked out. You lose 5 in Q1, you lose 5 in Q2, and then you're left with 10 drivers in Q3, and those basically, you're jockeying for your starting position. So you could end up P14 in Q2, but then pull P1 and Q1, Q3. There's a lot of Qs. A lot of P's and Qs. A lot of P's and Qs. Mind your P's and Qs.
Oh my gosh. Goodness.
Sorry. And so qualifying is usually pretty fun. It's usually teams and drivers will put in like 2 laps in a session. And so you'll hear provisional pole. So basically before the qualifying session is over, like a driver is on provisional pole, but someone, usually Max Verstappen, will come along and just like dash all of your hopes and dreams.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
And then sprint races, the schedule is a little bit different. Friday, there's 1 practice session. Then you have sprint qualifying. Saturday, you'll have the sprint race, which is basically it's a race but with just a chunk of laps, like probably about a third.
It's like a mini race.
It's a mini race, yeah.
It's a mini race strictly for points.
Yes. And then that afternoon, Saturday afternoon, you'll have qualifying. And then Sunday is always race day. No matter what, Sunday is always race day. And it's a lot of fun. Yeah, I think, as Hannah said earlier, races always go to however many laps or 2 hours. No race will ever be longer than 2 hours. And there have been times where they've had to basically kind of cut races short because of, red flags or crashes or this, that, and the other. I think the most recent one was Singapore.
Yeah.
In 23.
So we are moving on to the teams and their people. And this is going to be tons of fun.
Lots of fun. A little bit biased.
This is going to be, like we said at the beginning, this is going to be the girls' version of F1. So off we go. First I separated these into sections of teams. So like we said, there's 10 teams. These 4 are what I would call the top dogs. It is McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes. These are the 4 teams that are typically at the top of the grid. So if we move to Red Bull, I labeled this because that's Max Verstappen's. That's Max Verstappen's theme song.
A lot of people will make songs for drivers. Some of them, a lot of them are like low-key, really good, really fun songs.
Yeah, like Max's is fun, and then Liam Lawson's is every fucking drive I get out of my way, I'm Liam Lawson. I'm Liam Lawson. Yeah.
That one was a fun addition this last year.
Very fun addition. Yeah. So we'll go into Max Verstappen, this diva right here, this gorgeous, gorgeous girl. Max is the current world champion times 4. He just won his 4th world championship in a row, doing very, very good. He's an absolute powerhouse. It's really frustrating, actually. This past season was good.
Yeah.
But the one before that was literally the Max Verstappen show.
He won every single race except for one.
No, Red Bull won every single race except for one. Checo won a couple, but like only 2.
Yeah.
So out of however many races, Max won like almost the entire season, to the point that when there was still like 8 or 9 races left in the season, he had already won because of how many points he got. It would be statistically impossible even if he didn't race anymore.
Like, stayed at home for the rest of the year and he still would have won that season.
Yep. So anyways, very good.
He's unfortunately goated. Like he's really good.
And we say unfortunately, he's actually a really funny dude. Yeah. But it just gets annoying after a while. So he's Dutch. He has a great theme song. We hear it all the time. The Dutch national anthem. He's very hot-tempered, but rightfully so. He doesn't really get heated unless it's for a good reason.
Unless he's provoked.
Yeah, unless he's provoked, yeah. Don't touch the bear.
Don't poke. Yeah, don't touch
he's a very friendly bear if you don't poke him. And then he has major daddy issues. Get this.
Like, look him up in the dictionary. Yes. His picture is next to daddy issues.
Yes. So some little fun facts about Max and his father, Jos Verstappen.
Which story are we starting with?
I'm gonna start at the gas station.
Oh, okay. So, I'll go with the fork.
Okay, yeah. So when Max was a wee 8-year-old, like he was
young.
He was
elementary school aged.
Under the age of 10. So first of all, Max's dad was a race car driver. Not a Formula 1 driver, but he was a race car driver. And so he was like, you know what? My son Max is going to do it too. He's going to do a great job. I say that. They're not Texan. I was like, he's going to do a lovely job. But so Max got second place in a race once when he was around 8 years old, and his dad left him at a gas station and said, find your own way home.
Yeah. I think it was like poor Max. He was trying to explain and defend himself, and his dad was like, you say one more thing, I'm leaving you here.
And then he did say one more thing.
And I saw a TikTok recently about that story. And you know the Finding Nemo musical where it was like the Where's my dad? And the TikTok was a picture of a gas station, and that was the audio, and it was, where's my dad? Unfortunately, it was really funny.
Unfortunately, a little too accurate.
Yes. Yeah, don't send that one to Max.
No.
Yeah, so another daddy issue story for Max is him and Daniel Ricciardo used to be teammates. And they were doing one of those random teammate internet video challenges or whatnot. And at some point, Daniel stabbed something with a fork. And Max Verstappen, ever so casually, like it was just the casual of most cash things, goes, my dad did that to a mechanic once.
Yep. Anyways, so that's Max. Move on to Liam Lawson.
Yeah. Liam Lawson. So this man he was on RB, who we will get to in a little bit. And Checo was fired. Sergio Perez was fired, and Liam Lawson was given the Red Bull seat. So Red Bull and RB are like sister teams, and a lot of times if the driver's not performing, they'll get pulled up. Whatever. So that's Liam Lawson. He's Australian, certifiably obsessed with the movie Cars. Like, that man loves the Pixar feature film Cars starring Owen Wilson.
Yep. He was asked one time in an interview, would you rather be world driver champion or be in the Cars movie? And he said, I can't decide. So,
yeah. So we got that spot over Yuki Tsunoda, who is the other RB driver. It's a little bit of a controversial decision amongst most fans. We'll probably get into that a little bit later. And he's pretty assertive. Like, I think he's almost had to, if you think about it.
He's a good driver, but if you're in his way, like, he's not going to hesitate to be aggressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think he knows, like, in the world of F1 these days, you really have like one shot. And if you don't prove yourself, you're going to there's so much young talent that you're just going to kind of get left and kicked to the curb.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a bit where his kind of assertiveness comes from. And I kind of applaud him for it. I mean, like, he's shown to not be a pushover. And I hope he does well. And that second Red Bull seat is almost cursed. Like, it kind of has this reputation of just chewing up and spitting out these drivers.
Yeah.
It has churned out and just like run over several really good drivers. And so I hope Liam breaks. I hope he does well. I don't want to see him fail, but it'll be interesting.
I'm super excited to see how someone with not much F1 experience does in the Red Bull car.
Yeah.
Because Checo is a different story. But
so that's Liam only has like half a dozen races under his belt.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, yeah.
All right. Moving on to Ferrari.
Oh, the prancing horse. The pride and joy of Italy. Yeah. The pride and joy of my heart.
Yeah.
Honestly, our hearts.
Our hearts.
Hannah and I are both really, really big Ferrari fans. Yeah, this was a gift from my family to Hannah for Christmas. It's a little Ferrari F1 car. I have one on my desk at work. It's great. We love Ferrari. So yeah, the Italian team on the grid. They're one of, I think them, McLaren and Williams are the only like F1 teams on the grid who have been that team the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they've never changed. But so right now, yeah, their drivers are Charles Leclerc and new addition Sir Lewis Hamilton. But he's Ferrari's golden boy.
Yeah.
He started in their junior program, like, and then I think spent 2 years on their sister team, which at the time was Alfa Romeo. They're now Sauber. Everyone knew Charles Leclerc was always going to end up at Ferrari.
Tell the story about his dad.
Yeah. So his dad had passed several years ago. And at that point, Charles had made it to F1, but was not with Ferrari yet. And his dad was sick. And he told his dad right before he passed, he was like, I signed a contract with Ferrari, which wasn't true yet. But then I think it was either the end of that season or like the next like he signed the longest contract in Ferrari history. Yeah. And it just like, he's one of those, I mean, we love Charles Leclerc. He is a great driver, and I think he did really, really well this year.
Agreed.
He's a great driver, but can be a little bit inconsistent. He has a tendency to just push his car to a limit, and sometimes he pushes it a little bit too hard and ends up in the wall. R.I.P. my mental sanity.
Yes, I would say though, personally, I think it's the car that's more inconsistent because there's days that he can push the car that hard.
Yes,
and then there's days that he can't.
So. Yes. Yeah. So we love Charles Leclerc. But being a Ferrari fan is a bit of a roller coaster. And
that only goes down.
But we worked on coming up this year, I think. Nonetheless, someone cover that man's therapy bills because being a Ferrari fan or a Ferrari driver, I don't think is for the faint of heart.
No.
It's a whole lot of fun. He is an adorable little weenie dog, Leo.
Oh my gosh. The cutest little weenie dog I've ever seen.
He's like if a golden retriever was like a long-haired weenie dog.
He's a golden weenie.
It's a golden weenie.
Yeah.
He's so cute.
They're a thing. I have a friend that has one.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, they're really cute. Aww. They're stubborn.
Mm.
All weenie dogs are very stubborn. If you're looking for a dog that is easily agreeable, do not get a weenie dog. I'm telling you now, don't do it. Not for the faint of heart.
Not for the faint of heart. Just like being a Ferrari fan.
Oh my god, it's perfect.
It's so much fun. If you're looking for a team, you should totally be a Ferrari fan.
100%. And I'm 100%. Italian, so I kind of have to be. All right.
Anyways, but yeah, Charles Leclerc, we love him.
Lewis Hamilton. So Lewis Hamilton, it's Sir Lewis Hamilton because he's actually a knight. Like, he has been knighted.
So cool.
That's so cool. He's a really cool dude. He's been around for a long time. He's the GOAT. He is genuinely one of the greatest of all time.
He just turned 40.
That's insane.
Yeah, he just turned 40.
I know, it was like 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was like my first day at work. And I was like, oh my God. But 40?
Yeah.
He doesn't look 40. He looks very young.
That man is fine.
That man is fine. He looks really good.
Spoiler alert, so many of the drivers are fine.
Yes, and that's what got a lot of girls here in the first place, but we stayed for the drama.
Mm-hmm.
So he is a 7-time world champion, 8 depending on how insufferable the fan is, because some people think that he beat Max, so he's technically the winner. No, 7. Anyway, but that's a lot. That's a lot of world champions.
I think he's one of, what is it, three drivers who have ever won
that many.
7.
Yeah,
it's
very impressive.
Unbelievably impressive.
Very large feat. So he is moving to Ferrari this season, which is crazy because his basically entire career has been at Mercedes, and all of his world champion wins have been at Mercedes. Like, that is his team, and he has not budged.
If everyone would have said he was going to retire at Mercedes,
that's like it's like LeBron James saying that he's going to go to like the Spurs.
No, that was when that came out. It was around this time last year, and we were sending it in one of my college group messages or group chats. And someone was like, "Can somebody put this in like other sports terms?" And someone was like, "It's like Tom Brady leaving the Patriots.
Yes,
LeBron leaving whatever team he was at." I don't follow
basketball. He's going to the Houston Rockets. But yeah, so, and he has a very, 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 very cute dog. It's a bulldog named Roscoe. And I want a bulldog.
I do
because
too.
I want Roscoe. So that's
I
Lewis
want a
Hamilton.
bulldog, and its name will be Gibby.
Yes. Oh,
after Gibby from
iCarly. Yes, of course. What other Gibby is there? Don't answer that. So
I can't.
No, I can't. I'm actually very excited to see how Lewis does at Ferrari.
Yeah.
Am I sad that he stole the spot of my favorite driver, which we'll get to in a moment? I'm very upset about that.
Yeah.
But
it's one of those, like, for a lot of, I think, just F1 drivers in general, like, a lot of their dreams are to drive for Ferrari.
Yeah.
Because they are kind of like,
it's like
the historic team. Everybody wants to drive Ferrari. There's this just kind of famous clip of Sebastian Vettel, who was a former world champion and Ferrari driver, of like, everybody's a Ferrari fan, even if they say that they're not. They're a Ferrari fan.
Yep.
And honestly, to a degree, I think it's really true.
I agree.
I love Ferrari, and so it's like, I get it. You know, it's like he's got the chance to drive for Ferrari, kind of fulfill that last little dream of his, and it's like, who wouldn't sign Lewis Hamilton?
Yeah.
As much as like we hated it for Carlos, you get the chance to sign Lewis Hamilton, you're gonna sign Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. So that's Ferrari. Moving on to Diva Central, aka Mercedes.
Yeah, so I'll start with the new addition to the Mercedes duo, which is Kimi Antonelli. To me, he looks like Peter Parker, but he's Italian, so I think we're dubbing him Italian Peter Parker.
Yeah.
He is going to be the youngest on the grid. That boy is 18 years old.
Baby.
He is a baby. Like, sweet baby child. I'm so excited for all of these rookies on the grid because they're not going to be media trained. It's going to be chaos, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be so interesting.
But yeah, Kimi Antonelli has kind of been a project of Mercedes for a while. Before this, we were joking that Toto Wolff, who is kind of like the team boss for Mercedes, we joked that they grew Kimi Antonelli in a lab.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I really wouldn't. I think it makes a lot of sense.
They have a lot of money.
They do have a lot of
They
money.
could do that.
So it's with the rookies, a lot of them are like, we don't know a lot about them. So literally the last bullet for every single rookie, I think except for Liam Lawson, was we'll see, because we don't know. I mean, like they are rookies. They could win the Piston Cup on their first go around.
They really
that
could.
Man, Italian Peter Parker could win the drivers' championship. Will it happen?
No.
Probably not, but it could.
It could.
It could.
Keep your eyes open.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I think he's gonna be. I hope he's good.
I hope he's good too. Yeah. All right. Next is George Russell. This is the one that says Jacksonville Jaguars. This man has not
Very
ever.
posh.
This man has never had a speck of dirt under his fingernails in his entire life. I put here first. Who is this diva? Because genuinely the best meme content in all of Formula One. Genuinely.
And half the time not even on purpose.
No, it's never on purpose. It's never on purpose.
He's like a walking meme and like diva. He's a walking diva meme.
He's a walking diva meme. Huge fan of hitting people unexpectedly. There will be R.I.P. Carlos. There will be videos, or I guess like in a race, and they'll show the replay. And George Russell's driving straight line, and then he goes skirt, and then he runs into someone, and then immediately on the radio you hear, "Oh my God, he just ran right into me. He just turned into me.
He just fully turned into me. He just cut across me. Nothing I could do. He just turned into me." What the hell happened there?
You turn right into him, George.
Okay, plenty of space.
I mean, you didn't, George. You drove straight into the side of him.
And it's like, hey, bestie, that's not how that works.
And it's like sometimes he'll like, okay, yeah, no, that was my fault. But there have been several times he's like, nah, they ran into me.
Yeah, he just doubles down sometimes. And then I put throws tantrums, but kind of fairly, but that's the bullet point I wanted to change because he and Max have had some beef. So,
yeah,
I won't get too into it, but apparently from what other people are saying, George is a bit of a snake behind closed doors. It's kind of, like the Kim K situation with Kanye and Taylor Swift. It's like, George is getting exposed for being a snake.
Yeah.
And so not the biggest fan of his right now, but I do love the meme content to the point that we've made an entire slide of this dedicated strictly to George Russell meme. So George Russell memes, and I'm going to show you that now. If you're listening and not watching, I'm so sorry.
If not, we'll put it on our Instagram, which you should go follow.
Yes, at Fifth Wheel with one is the I. But here's just some real, like, all of these moments are natural moments that have happened with George Russell, including the T-pose. Like, they were supposed to pose for the 2023 season, like, opener, like, basically, like, their opening credits. And George just did a T-pose, and we don't know why, but
evidently, here we are. I saw a clip where I think they made all of the drivers try that pose, but George was one of the only ones that was tall enough to pull it off.
Yeah, that looked okay.
And it just became this huge meme.
And now, when he wins a race, he'll get out of his car
and he'll do it. Like, so much of a meme. Like, I think Mercedes posted it one time, and then they took the T-pose and photoshopped it to say it's race week. And I printed that out, and at work, I'll put it on my cube for people to know that it's race week, and it just brings me joy.
It's so great. So that's George Russell. Moving on to McLaren, starting with the newer McLaren driver, Oscar Piastri. Oscar is baby girl. That's all I'm going to say. It's not all I'm going to say. I have so much more to say on him.
Yeah.
But that's the first thing I'm going to say is Oscar is baby girl. That is baby girl. He is Australian. He is sneakily talented. Like, he came to McLaren. No one really knew who he was. Everyone was like, okay.
He had done really good in his junior career.
Yeah, and so everyone was like, okay, cool, whatever, another rookie. No one really paid him much attention. This season, though, however...
Sis popped off.
Baby girl popped off. He is so talented and level-headed. Like, he has kept his head so many times, even in the final race of this season.
Yeah.
It's the first lap, and him and his teammate were competing for the Constructors Championship. I'm not good at speaking. And first corner of the first lap, another driver hits him in like it's totally the other guy's fault.
Mhm.
And he still keeps a level head. It was Max, actually, and Max is the world champion. And so just very calmly, everyone's like, Oscar, are you okay? Oscar, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. Move of a world champion, that one.
It's like, even when he gets mad, he's so calm about
He's
it.
so calm.
Like, I want that man's, like, anger management techniques.
Yeah, I think he's mature beyond his years. He's
Yeah.
younger, too, I think.
Yeah, I think he
Like
was
24 or something.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think he was born in the 2000s. So
I
like,
think he was, too.
he's a youngin'.
Ugh.
I know,
Sorry.
2000 and.
Yeah, he's still relatively a newbie, but he's really good, shows a lot of talent, but he is also not McLaren's priority. So.
No, not really.
And that would be Lando Norris.
Yeah, so, let's transition to Lando Norris, who also very baby girl.
Baby girl!
Like, they're the Papaya brothers, but, like, they're baby girls.
Mm-hmm.
Lando he has started his F1 career at McLaren and has stayed there. I think he's been there for several years.
Yeah.
And, like, to his defense, like, when he joined McLaren, I would have considered them a back of the pack team. Like, they were bad.
100%. They were not good
Like,
up until like last year.
Last year they were terrible at the beginning of last season,
Mm-hmm.
and then did a lot of work, kind of moved through the pack, and then this year, like, they were up there. I mean, they started, I think, like, second or third in the constructors, and then when they took the lead, they never lost it, and they won the constructors for the first time since 1998.
Yeah.
And, like, so Lando, he joined them when they weren't so great, and he really I feel like he's really grown and matured a lot. He's still a little bit immature, but I think from when he started, I think he learned a lot this year.
And he's also young. He's also young. He's like Oscar's age.
We're
frontal
both
lobe
older.
is not developed.
No, frontal lobe is not developed. We're both older than Lando Norris, and I forget that.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I don't.
Yeah.
When I look at him, I think baby girl, but I also think baby.
No, that's fair.
A lot of girls like thirst over Lando, which is fair. He's a cutie patootie, but that's what he's just a cutie patootie to me. He's not like, I'm not like, oh damn, you know. I don't know why I said it like that, but he's young. He looks young.
He does. He did lose a lot of his baby face. If you go look at pictures from his first like 2 seasons, I mean, looks like a child.
He does. He looks a little older now.
It's like his frontal lobe's almost there, not quite, almost there.
Not quite.
But I think he learned a lot. I think we saw what Lando in a quick car could do. He got his first race win this season, which was really fun to see.
Yeah.
Because a lot of there was a lot of, just chitter chatter and just talk of like, oh, well, he's not good. He hasn't gotten a race win. And then it was like, he finally got that race win. And I think not having that pressure on him anymore, I think has really helped him.
I would agree.
But yeah, baby girls.
Baby girls.
Baby girls.
All right, we're moving on to the participation medal section of the grid.
AKA the midfield teams.
The midfield team. So I have Aston Martin, Haas, and Williams. You'll see Williams pop up again on the not good teams. I put them on both just because it depends on the day.
Yeah.
All right. First and foremost, the Stroll family team, aka Aston Martin. So on the left here we have Lance Stroll. I say Stroll family team because Daddy bought him an F1 team for Christmas. How exciting is that?
Daddy, I want an F1 team.
Daddy, I want an F1 team.
Okay, dear. Here's your F1 team.
And you can drive in it too.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter if you're not any good. If you watch other episodes of this podcast, I give Lance Stroll all of the hate in the world.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, there's been times where I think it's well deserved, but Sydney, I made her jaw drop earlier. I said, I'm not going to go as hard on him this time.
I feel like I needed to check your temperature. Like, have you been body snatched?
No. As much as I hate to admit it, just because of all the chaos of this season and so much has happened, he hasn't really done much. And
he was just there.
He was just kind of there. And in the past, he's been incredibly annoying and has not been great. I put on here, historically annoying. And
nothing's ever his fault.
Nothing's ever his fault, even though it's always his fault. But he's been kind of quiet these past few months, especially the second half of the season.
Yeah.
And so I put historically annoying. Doesn't really do much though. Still don't like him.
Yeah.
Lance Stroll. no respect. I'm never gonna like you. But also, like, respectfully, no respect. You know what I mean? Like, respectfully.
Yeah.
Like, right
It
now...
just, I think we've touched on it in a couple of previous episodes. Like, there's just... I think a lot of people's problem, too, with Lance Stroll is, like, he doesn't do anything.
No.
When he does, it's usually not good.
Yeah.
And it's just, there's so much talent in the world of motorsport that he's essentially taking the spot of someone that could be the next F1 star.
Yeah.
But we'll never know.
Yeah.
Because Daddy bought the F1 team. So as long as Lance wants to race,
he's gonna race.
He's gonna race.
And it's not like we've talked about this before, but in other, like, just in general, if you're not doing well, like, it's one thing if it's like a car issue, but if you're just simply like not really doing much of anything, you're gonna get kicked off the team. It doesn't matter how much the public loves you, and the public does not love Lance Stroll.
No.
So it's definitely a daddy thing, but moving on.
So the other half of that duo is Fernando Alonso. This is like, I feel like the F1 grandpa. Like, I think he's 43.
He's old.
43 or 44. Like, which he is, in the general sense, no, not super old. In the F1 world, that man is geriatric.
Ancient.
Like, geriatric so that he retired.
Wrinkles.
He retired, was like, I want to race again.
I'm bored.
Came out of retirement and is still racing. The joke is that man is going to race until he's like 97.
And I would like to see that.
I think it would be really entertaining and hilarious.
I want him to get to 50.
Yeah. And so now, to his defense, like, some would probably consider him a little washed up now, but he's a 2-time world driver champion. So, like,
very good driver.
And I would have loved to see Fernando Alonso in his prime.
Yeah.
Because, like, I've seen clips and just, like, and it, like, that man was quick.
Crazy good.
Yeah. And yeah, arguably is one of the funniest drivers without even trying.
Yeah. He's akin to George Russell.
Probably, I honestly think he is.
I think he's funnier.
Tops George Russell.
I think because
he does it on purpose too sometimes.
Yeah, because we have arguably one of the funniest drivers without trying. I think George Russell, his meme content is funny, but him as a person is not. And Fernando Alonso as a person is just hilarious.
And it's like, and he'll just do these things because he wants to.
Oh yeah.
Like, one of my favorite clips is somebody else is getting interviewed, and you see him like come up in the background and just like sniffs the flower of the plant that's in front of him. Like, not a care in the world. And yeah, he's TikTok influencer. I think it was like he won like TikTok influencer of the year in, I think, Spain last year.
Yeah.
Or something ridiculous like that. I mean,
before it came out about Travis Kelce, there was rumors that he was dating Taylor Swift, which were just like really dumb. Like, no one believed them, but he played into them for a bit once he heard about it and was like posting videos of him just being silly with like Taylor Swift songs in the back. And
all of those rumors made a lot of the bros really, really angry. And so everyone knew that those rumors weren't true.
Yeah.
But everybody played into them anyway because it was funny.
It was hilarious.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, Aston Martin, they did okay this year, but like
midfield team.
That was it.
There wasn't anything eventful from Aston Martin. It's so
no.
Yeah. That's the Stroll family team.
Stroll family team.
All right. On to the Blue Man Group, aka Williams. So we're gonna
start at 2 of their newest fans.
Yeah, looking at 2 of their newest, biggest fans. Unfortunately, I don't want to be here, but I am. Let's start with Carlos Sainz. That's my baby. That is my favorite driver. Absolutely, I love this photo of him too. Just what a character. He's also very funny, and
I love Carlos.
Love Carlos. He's the best. I'm actually wearing my Carlos necklace. Hold on. That's not it. Those are my parents' wedding bands. I love how I just casually am wearing a Carlos Sainz necklace along with my parents' wedding bands. But yeah, so he is my favorite driver. He has been at Ferrari for a few years, and then it kind of hit him in the same way that it hit all of us that Lewis was going to Ferrari. Yeah. So Charles had already re-signed, and so we were just kind of waiting on Carlos to re-sign, and then it comes out that Lewis signed with Ferrari out of nowhere. And Carlos was informed beforehand, but not very much in advance. Like, he found out maybe like a day before
I
everyone
think
else
it
did.
came out that these rumors were probably going to see the light of day, and they didn't want, I mean, he was caught off guard.
Yeah, they didn't want Carlos to be surprised.
And it's like, I think it was like, you've seen it, clips of him where he's like, you know, at the beginning, like, I was angry, I didn't understand, like, why would they do, because he hasn't done anything.
No, he's
like,
fantastic.
He is a great driver.
I think he's done, I mean,
at times better than Charles.
Times way better than Charles, who is the favorite.
Yeah. And so, but it was one of those, like, I think in one of the clips towards the end of the season, he was like, if it was anybody else but Lewis, I wouldn't get it. But he goes,
but it
was Lewis.
It's Lewis Hamilton.
And so it just is like a dagger to the heart. You're like, no.
It is. It's so sad. But
it's so sad.
He's a very underrated driver. Very level-headed, very calm. And I put Smooth Operator because that's his song. Anytime he's driving. And so, again, they're driving at 200 miles an hour. There's an insane, absurd amount of G-force happening to them at any given moment. And so in the car, he'll just sing Smooth Operator while they're driving, and it sounds like Smooth Operator.
Smooth operator. Smooth operator.
Yeah, and he's from Spain, so it's just funny to hear. And I put as last tab, you deserve so much better, sweetie. All right, next.
So the next member of the Blue Man Group is Alex Albon. So Alex, Red Bull, he was one of the ones that got chewed up and spit out by Red Bull.
Yes.
And then landed at Williams. And for being in a Williams, he's done well.
Yeah,
I think
for a
you
Williams.
see moments of like, he's a good driver.
Yeah, it's just a Williams.
It's just a Williams, so I don't know that he wasn't at Red Bull long enough, I think, for you to really see what he could have done.
Yeah.
You know, I think we've talked about if Checo hadn't become available, I think they would have let him keep that seat. Could be a totally different F1 world. Woulda, coulda, shoulda, we'll never know. Yeah. But yeah, Alex Albon, well, at the 2023 United States Grand Prix, I am attending with my sister and one of our friends, and we meet Alex Albon at a Duracell event at a Home Depot in Pflugerville, Texas.
Boom, 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 boom.
Cue the Home Depot beat. And that was one of those like fever dream experiences. Like he rolls up at a Home Depot.
A Home Depot.
In Pflugerville. Like we weren't even inside.
No, it was the parking lot
of the Home Depot.
And there's none of these drivers are American.
No.
And so Home Depot is not high on his priority list.
No. But it was a whole lot of fun. Had a great time. It was kind of a fever dream.
Yeah.
He signed my shirt and in a little driver card that's at my office at work.
He seems like a sweetie pie.
He was really nice. His girlfriend Lily, who's also just
I love Lily.
We love, like, of the WAGs, Lily is one of my favorites.
What does WAG stand for, by the way?
Wives and girlfriend.
Duh.
Because some of them have wives and some of them have girlfriends.
I want one of them to have a boyfriend one day.
That would be really cool.
I wish one of them would be gay.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
The acronym would be a little harder. WABs.
WAGs. BWAG. BWAG.
WAGs.
Boyfriend, wives, and girlfriends. BWAGs. Or BAWGs. BAWG. BAWGs.
Bow chicka wow wow.
Bow chicka wow wow.
Anyway.
BAWGs.
BAWGs. Yeah.
We're not there yet.
No. Neither
and
yet.
I doubt that the politics behind F1 would be thrilled with a gay driver, which is a shame.
That's unfortunate.
Because the girls and the gays and the theys love F1.
They do love F1. But yeah, so Alex Albon.
All right, moving on to American But Not, aka Haas.
Yeah.
We're going to start with
I think Esteban Ocon.
Let's start with
Esteban.
Yeah, so he's French. As we mentioned earlier, I put on here 5-second penalty for Esteban Ocon. He just can't stop getting those penalties.
No.
Poor guy. And I feel like sometimes they're not even his fault. Like, I feel like
sometimes the FIA is like, let's commit to the bit.
Yeah.
Let's give him 10 this time.
Yeah, it's like, and they'll give him more seconds for something that is very minor. And it's just like, if they're like, well, a penalty needs to be given out here because like, something's wrong.
To Esteban.
Let's give it to Esteban. So I also put, please stop looking at me like that, because he tends to like, he has this smolder that he does in his pictures, and like it just it cuts into my soul a little too much. Like,
and I've never been able to pinpoint it.
I can't. It's not like malicious or creepy, but it's also not pleasant. And he's not a bad looking dude, but it's
No.
also not. There's something about it that is just very unnerving. Like something's wrong. Like
He also can't say squirrel. I mean, granted, he's French, and squirrel is a very hard English word to
he
pronounce.
says squirrel.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. But yeah, that's Esteban Ocon, and he used to be on Alpine, and
Yeah.
now this year will be in Haas.
We'll see how they do. Our next driver is we've got Oliver Bearman,
Or
aka
Ollie.
Ollie Bearman.
Ollie,
The Bearman.
the Bearman.
So he is a rookie this year also. He is essentially on the grid because of Carlos Sainz's burst appendix.
Yep.
So Carlos had his appendix taken out, I think like the second or third race
it
of
was
the
like second
season.
race.
And so he was not able to race in one of the, I don't remember which race it was. And so Ollie was their reserve driver that they had on site that weekend. And so Ollie Bearman, who had not been in an F1 car at that point, I don't think, like had done some simulator stuff, basically jumps in, qualifies, races, finishes in the points. I think he finished P7
Yeah.
in his debut F1 race.
Which is unheard of.
Yeah. Granted, he wasn't a Ferrari, so like he wasn't a good car.
Yes.
But for a rookie,
absolutely unheard of.
it's unheard of.
Everyone was very impressed, including myself.
Yeah. And even there was another race where this year where one of the Haas drivers or former Haas drivers received a race ban because he did too many penalty.
That man was
things.
a terrorist on the track, and we will not speak his name.
Yeah, but it was really funny. He was really good at being a terrorist on the track.
Yeah.
And so he raced, I think, in one race towards the end of the season for Haas, and he still did really well.
Yeah, even in the Haas.
Even in the Haas. So I think I'm excited about this duo. I mean, they both new drivers for Haas, so maybe having two new drivers will be really good for them. Gen Z baby. I mean, like
Gen Z.
He might be 19 or 20.
He's young.
Him and Kimi Antonelli were teammates in F2 this last year, and like their content was so Gen Z coded.
It was really funny.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then he was also adopted by Charles Leclerc at one point this year.
Yeah. So he'll be racing against his father, who is like 6 years old.
Wasn't actually adopted by Charles Leclerc.
No.
There's a whole lot of F1 lore behind that. Oscar Piastri is also in the Leclerc family. It's
a lot. Yeah, it's too much for an intro podcast episode. But now we're moving on to the problem children, and that is Alpine, RB, Kick Sauber, and again I put Williams on there. We won't go over Williams again, but I just need to note that they're on there because it is really annoying sometimes. So let's start with the Visa, Cash App, Venmo, MasterCard, Amex Racing Team, aka RB, aka their actual full name is Visa, Cash App Racing Bulls, which is
nobody has time to say that.
No.
Well, we're not going to call you that. That's stupid. RB.
Yep, that's it.
So there's Red Bull, and then there's RB. Not the same team.
Not the same team. All right. Would you like to talk about Yuki Tsunoda?
Yeah, let's talk about little Yuki. He honestly is like the equivalent of Toad. Like if he was a Mario character, he's Toad.
I thought you were gonna say Toast, like my cat.
No, not your cat Toast. He's like Toad, just because he's like small and yells a lot.
Yeah, he does yell quite a bit. He has major anger issues.
That man does have major anger issues.
It's concerning.
Yeah, I mean, his first couple seasons in F1, like that man just yells, and it's like there have been several times where they're like, "Hey, Yuki, we need you to like cut back on the cursing."
Yeah,
like that man. Granted, English is not his first language, and so I think he said like I learned a lot of my English watching racers curse a lot.
Yep.
I.e. Yuki Tsunoda and his anger problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, one minute he's great, the next he's in the wall. He's kind of there a lot, but like I think has proven himself. He's a pretty good back marker drive. Like he's a good driver.
Yeah, I think though, like the 1 minute he's great and the next he's in the wall might be the reason that Liam got the Red Bull spot over him.
I think it could be.
He just makes way more careless mistakes.
The kind of the bit with Yuki is that he's always the bridesmaid, never the bride, because RB is sister teams with Red Bull, and Yuki has just been passed over, I think at least 3 times now for this second Red Bull seat. Love Yuki. Another big bit with Yuki is that man loves food and wants to open a restaurant. There's do you want to talk about the what was it? It was like an interview clip.
It's like an interview clip from I think the Drive to Survive show, and they're asking everyone like, what is your lifelong dream? What is your lifelong dream? They're asking all the drivers, and all of them are going, I want to be world champion. I want to win the World Drivers' Championship.
Yep.
It cuts to you. He goes, I want to open a restaurant.
Full dead serious.
Like, completely serious.
Like, in the same way that Liam Lawson couldn't pick between the animated movie cars and F1, like, Yuki wants to open a restaurant.
And you have to remember sometimes, like, they're just people. They're just guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also, like, that's so funny. I love that about Yuki.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving on to Isaac Hajar. That's a picture of him with the current world champion Max Verstappen. That shows how young he is.
Yeah.
And at that time, Max was, I believe, a world champion at that point. Like, that looks like not like a recent picture, but recent enough. Like, in the past 4 years. I bet that was, like, maybe his first year of winning. But anyway, so Isaac, he's a last minute rookie entry. Shout out Checo for getting fired so Liam could take a seat. He's got some freaky good reaction time.
Yeah.
There's this clip that Sydney and I just watched of him recently in his F2 career, and crazy fast reaction time. So I'm actually really excited to see how he does. He had a decent junior career, but again, like most of the other rookies, we'll see. There's not much else to say.
And the next rookie we'll talk about are the two that we probably know the least of.
Yes.
We know a little bit about Kimmy and Ollie and Liam just because they were really around a lot this last F1 season. Yeah. Isaac and I think it's like Gabriel Bortoletta. We'll get to him in a minute, but it's like we really don't know a lot about them. Like, it'll be chaotic year with all these rookies.
One drop of rain and it's going to be bumper cars. So
yeah.
All right.
On to the next.
We have French. All you need to know, aka Alpine. So would you like to start with Pierre Gasly?
Pierre Gasly. Yeah. So, French. That's a lot of what you need to know about Pierre. He's pretty all right. He's not stellar. He's not terrible. But also not in a car where we can, I mean, he's a decent driver. Him and Esteban would not have ended up on the podium
if they weren't
good drivers.
I think if he were in like Lance's Aston Martin, he would do really well.
I agree. I think it's one of those. Thank you. Again, Pierre was one of the former Red Bull drivers that just got chewed up and spit out.
Yeah.
I think if they had allowed him time to develop, he could have done really well.
I think so.
Red Bull is just really impatient and gives their new drivers like
zero time to adjust.
And they honestly can afford to do that when you have Max Verstappen driving for you. Likes to golf probably more than drive F1. Man plays a lot of golf.
He plays so much golf.
He's chronically online. There's a whole bit that it's liked by Pierre Gasly.
He's always on Instagram.
So I think I have a liked by Pierre Gasly sticker on my laptop.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's fun.
He's a Swiftie.
He is a big Swiftie. He went with him, his girlfriend, and it was Charles and Charles's girlfriend. They were at the Eras Tour this last year.
Charles said Charles was like, oh, I went for my girlfriend Alexandra because she loves them, and Pierre was like,
no, I went for Taylor.
Pierre was like, hell yeah, man.
He's like, I love Taylor. Maybe he's who started the Fernando and Taylor rumors.
Oh, I would
just
love
for
that.
A little bit.
That'd be hilarious.
That would be really funny.
I doubt it, but I wish. All right, and then we have another rookie, Jack Doohan, and we put here Do.
Yeah.
Just because on the when there's a race going on, they'll put the little grid on the side of like where everyone is in their placement, and they put the first 3 letters of their last name. And for Jack, that is Do.
We broke out into the Perry the Platypus theme song.
Doobie doobie doop bop doobie doobie doop bop. Okay. So, he was gifted his first car by Michael Schumacher. How old was he?
He was 7. Which I thought was really fun because he's racing under the number 7 at this next year. So I was cute.
Cute.
It was just a fun little tidbit of information I found on the internet,
He seems to have a good sense of humor. He's got a couple funny pictures out there.
Yeah.
But, his dad races in the MotoGP. And I mean, that's really it. We don't know much.
We'll see.
We will see.
But we'll see.
I low-key miss Franco. So
I do miss Franco.
We'll see. All right, and then finally we have the Nickelodeon Kids Choice Awards, aka Kick Sauber. They're called that because their car is lime green, which I know it's kind of funny to laugh at, but at the same time, I love their colors.
I made fun of it so much at the beginning, like when they did their livery reveal.
But it looks so good.
But honestly, on track, you don't lose that. You do
don't
not lose that
them.
car. You're like, oh, lime green, there it is.
There's a lot that look kind of similar, and theirs stand out, and not in a bad way either.
Not
I
in
like
a-
that it's
it grew on
black.
me.
It's black with green accents and
Yes.
not green with black accents, so
Yes.
that's nice. But anyways, would you like to talk about our last
Yeah,
newbie?
our last rookies. We've got Gabriel. I think it's Bortoletto. It sounds like a pasta,
It does.
like fettuccine, linguine, Bortoletto. If you
Mhm.
told me there was a Bortoletto pasta.
Pasto?
Pasto.
Ha ha ha.
But yeah, no. So he is Brazilian. So the Brazilians, if they like have a Brazilian driver on the grid, they like full force support that driver. So like I think that'll be really fun for him. He won the F2 season most recently. And is now, this was just a little fun fact that I found. So he's one of him, Charles, and Oscar are the only three who have won consecutive F3 and then F2 seasons and then moved into F1.
Whoa.
So I thought it was just kind of interesting. So like he's had a pretty stellar junior career. Yeah, one of his F2 races went from last to first at Monza, which in any race, be it F2, F3, F1, starting at the back of the grid, moving up to P1.
Crazy.
Unbelievably impressive.
Yes.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
And last but not least, we have Nico Hulkenberg. Nico Hulkenberg.
Yes.
He came from Haas. He
Yes.
actually currently holds the award for most races most races raced without a podium or a win in F1 history.
Which is just, it's kind of funny, but really unfortunate.
It's sad but hilarious. He is also a dad. He's kind of calmed down since having kids.
Yeah.
He used to be very hot-tempered, very historically hot-tempered, and now he's like, he doesn't really seem like he cares a ton.
Yeah,
He's just kind of there.
Yes, but it's a spot on the grid. He's still racing.
Yep. Agreed.
Kudos to you, Nico.
Kudos, Nico. And with that's all
That's
we have.
all the teams. I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
I think it'll be a good one.
And I hope that this episode has been helpful. This is something that we've been wanting to put out for a bit because we've put out the last 4 races, and that's kind of like when we started. But again, like a lot of my friends are like, I mean, it sounded good. I was kind of entertained, but I also had no idea what you were talking about. So hopefully we didn't get too in the weeds. Hopefully we made it a little fun and flirty.
You got some biased and unbiased driver opinions.
I think they were all biased. I'm going to be so honest. I don't think anything about what we said was unbiased.
No.
Yeah, it's fine. But I mean, you can't be an F1 fan and be unbiased. That's just not a thing.
I mean, take what we said with some of our, I think some of our biases are valid.
I would agree.
But, y'all got your own brains. Make your own, choose. If you want to spite us, be a Red Bull fan. Be a Lance Stroll fan, specifically.
God.
I mean,
if you want to spite us,
life, but be a Lance Stroll fan.
If you want to spite us, be a Lance Stroll fan.
At the end of the day, if we even get one person into F1 out of this episode, I feel like we've done our job.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, like, one thing that I tell a lot of people ask me, how do I even start? Watch the show on Netflix.
Yes.
Watch Drive to Survive, Formula One Drive to Survive on Netflix. That's how we got into it, and that's how most people in the past 5 years got into it.
I'd say that's how the sport really grew in the U.S.
It did, and now we have 3 races in the U.S.
Yeah, now we have. There used to only be 1. Now there are 3. I mean, Drive to Survive. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. It's a great place to start. Yeah,
great place to start.
Great place to start.
If you like Real Housewives, you'll love Drive to Survive.
Honestly,
it's like reality TV for me. It's very fun. Lots of drama, and every single one of those men that we just talked about are absolute divas. Yes. Big divas. They're the biggest hissy fits. They're all very, I don't know, they're just divas. That's the only way I can put it. So there's always drama.
It's a great time. I love this sport.
I do too. I love
this sport.
But yeah, I think we've covered about everything.
Got any questions? Send us a DM. Give us a follow.
Or just text me. Yeah. Most of y'all have my number, Sydney's. But if not, shoot us a DM on @5thwheel at Instagram and TikTok. And YouTube.
I hope y'all enjoyed this one. This one was fun.
So too. It was
I've been waiting for this pace to talk about like just full on our opinions and just like how we got there.
Yeah,
and not just have to break down a race.
Not too many events.
It was a fun surprise.
It was a fun surprise. So I hope y'all enjoyed, and thank you for watching.
And as always, It's lights out and away we go.
Also, wait, real quick, peep
Oh,
our merch.
shameless plug for our F1 merch.
We're not selling it, so don't try to buy
But
it.
if you want some,
let us know.
Let us know. Yeah, so myself, Hannah, and then my sister Shelby all had quite literally shared the brain in this moment. For Christmas, each of us got each other. My sister got me this sweatshirt. Hannah made that sweatshirt and got me one of those. I got her this shirt that says Fifth Wheel. Hannah also got a hat. Basically, we all shared the brain and got each other F1 merch.
Embroidered F1 merch.
And
I surprised Sydney because I made this new logo and I was so excited to show her the new logo, but I was like, wait, I have to wait until she sees her gift. But anyways.
So yeah, if you want some merch, hit us up, text us, or DM us. Venmo. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways.
It's lights out.
And away we go.
Bye.
Bye. Sorry.
Leave that as the beginning.
You know what? I already burped in one intro.
What's wrong with another?
Hannah.
What if we start every episode with a burp?
No.
Raise your hand if you want every episode to start with a burp.